vampire people. Maybe that's why vampires don't have gold teeth. Book peeps, it is Courtney. How are y'all doing today? How's spooky season going? As you can see, I'm in my vampire temptress outfit, complete with some teeth. I had to gold them up. Couldn't resist. Didn't work that well. Anyway, if you're going to go to the Spirit of Halloween store and get one of those one sizes fit all, be prepared, okay? Anyway, so it is spooky season. So what am I doing? I'm reading books and participating in books for spooky season. So for October, I participated in 3 readathons. One was a spooktacular readathon that is hosted by Paco and Bad Witch Books, and this was Disney Villain. It's a bingo board. I got 3 bingos. Yay me. Another one is Scarathon, hosted by This Kiwi. That's Jessica. How you doing? And I got 1 bingo. And also there is For the Culture Readathon, which is the Witch Edition, Famous Witches. And I got all 9 prompts, including the group book. So, you know what? I'm rocking, I'm rolling, doing all the things. Now let's talk about the books, okay? By the way, if you have not subscribed already, make sure you go ahead and click that subscribe button. I'd appreciate it. Now, the first book I read is Lone Women. Now, this is by Victor Lavelle. It's this historical, fantastical horror book, you know, big genre blend, about this woman in like 1950 that is carrying around this trunk when she goes to Montana to claim like this land grant. She's looking for absolute seclusion. And once that trunk is unlocked, it has all of these deadly consequences for people around her. Very, very interesting. I loved all the many female characters in here, especially, what's her name? Birdie. She was a good time. I thought that the characters were realistic, they were unique, and all they were tough as well. And there's actually quite a bit of references, if you want to read up, about how Black people and how single women had a role in settling the West as homesteaders, which is a narrative you definitely don't see put out in history. But it was very suspenseful, kind of scary at times, and I definitely think it held my attention the entire time. I will say, though, it did leave some unanswered questions, but that did not take away from enjoying the book. Just solid read. Another book that I read is called Tender Beast. Now, if you have not heard of LaSalle, is that how you pronounce it? LaSalle Sandbury, you're missing out. Now, she wrote this book, which I read earlier this year, which is Delicious Monsters. Thick book, very awesome book, right? LaSalle Sandbury knows how to write toxic families, and that extends to Tender Beast here. But this is a horror paranormal family drama about this rich Black family who runs this, you know, scholarship charter type school for underprivileged kids. And then the youngest son is accused of murder. But, you know, he claims, you know, he did not do it. So then you have the youngest sister, her name is Sunny, decides to help prove his innocence. And then, you know, more people start winding up dead, and you get into these dark family secrets. And then she starts to question, is he really innocent? That type thing. But like I said, she knows how to write some toxic families, and I love that about her. Very entertaining and also pretty relatable in that, I will say. I do like the occultist vibes, because you don't normally hear about that with Black horror, so I enjoyed that as well. And I also like how they, you know, weaved in like social justice issues and elitism and the power of privilege and stuff like that. Now, one thing I will say is that while I enjoyed the book, I thought the plot was good. I think there could have been just so much more done with this plot. So I felt like, you know, it didn't wow me. I felt like there was missed opportunity. But overall, you know, it's a good read. And then I also read Touched by Walter Mosley. I just kind of ran into this book. And that's an awesome cover too. I don't know if you can see that very well. But it's these hands covering. But this is a supernatural sci-fi about a man who wakes up possessing all this knowledge from like 1,000 years. And then you have like this alternative consciousness that, you know, he knows about humanity's downfall. And he has all these like new abilities that start getting him into trouble. So even though he knows humanity's downfall, he could also be the savior. But you know, it was a pretty interesting book, definitely unique. And I like how it tied in social justice issues like, you know, you fit the description because you're the only black man in the entire neighborhood. And it also explores about like how hate is taught and how people can be confused by their motivations if you take that out of the equation. But overall, a great story that was well written with a man that is devoted to his family and is badass at the same time. Can't go wrong with that. And, ooh, this one. Okay, so now this is the buddy read for the Culture Readathon, which is The Blonde Dies First. So this is a YA paranormal horror book following Devin, who has a genius sister, and her friends are in Brooklyn. And after messing around with the Ouija board at a party, then they're trying to save themselves. But the demon looks mighty familiar and seems to be following like some sort of horror movie rules. So you find them navigating all of that. So I thought it was interesting. I think that playing with a Ouija board is just not something you should do in general. I'm trying to get the glare away from here. I don't think that's something you should ever do. That's just bad juju all the way around. I thought the plot in here was good. Finding out who the demon was very predictable. I think I was like a third of the way through and I'm like, okay, I already know what that's about. I was very annoyed with the continual references to horror movies. You know, like you have Scream where they talk about, ooh, if you go into the basement, you're gonna die, that type thing. So all those references to the rules of horror, and they kept talking about the final girl. It was just very annoying to me. I think they also had some questionable actions that just didn't make sense. But, you know, overall, it was a good story. It was okay. I just wasn't, like, wild. But I do like how the main character like owns who she is, and that's always a good thing. I also read Immortal Dark, which I was so looking forward to, and it didn't disappoint, besides the fact that it leaves in a bit of a cliffhanger and there's multiple books and they're not out. So that's my big hang up. But it is a dark academia where you have vampires and humans that live together, and vampires have this African ancestry, which is awesome. And you have this girl named Kidan who is searching for her sister who's gone missing. And then Kidan realizes that she has to basically claim her heritage at this hidden university, which means living with this vampire that she supposedly hates. But you know what? She is up for the challenge and is badass while she's there. I thought that the book had a lot of characters. I will say I was confused through a lot of the beginning of the book, keeping these characters straight, but once I stopped trying to figure all that out, I just started rolling with it, and it was a good time. You have like human vampire covenants, there's torture, murder, power struggles, all this manipulation and like deadly tests and family bonds and sacrifices, found family. There was like some sexiness, don't get it twisted, they didn't get like in there, but like I said, the cliffhanger is what got me. But it was very satisfying, lots of like bomb drops throughout the book, so I was very excited about reading it and entertained all the way through, and just looking forward to the second book, which is maybe next year. I definitely recommend for something different. I also read, what was the other book? I'm looking around like it's here. I read a book called Zane, okay, by Brenda Jackson. It was one of those, you know, sexy Harlequin romance books that's part of this Westmoreland series that has like, I don't know, it follows a few brothers, but there's like 32 books in the series, right? But the Westmoreland brothers basically own this horse ranch in Colorado, black horse ranchers, and you have Zane, who's one of the brothers, that basically refuses to commit to Channing, and so she decides to leave, and when she comes back she basically fakes that she has this fiance, and then he decides he finally loves her and will do anything to get her back, that type thing. I will say this, if a man is not willing to commit, you're any and everything he wants, but he's just not willing to commit, I would do just like her and bounce, okay? He was completely out of line, and I agree with her making him jump through hoops to get her back. I will say though that I thought that the fake dating trope thing was not executed well. It was just, if you read the book, you know what I'm talking about. But I just wish it would have been more like in depth though. It was just a lot of wasted potential. But overall, good time, and you know, nice plot and a little sexiness. I can't complain about that. And that is all of the traditional books I read. I also have some graphics. So we have Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, okay? So this is an adaptation of the Jane Austen novel Pride and Prejudice, which is one of my favorite Jane Austen movies. But this is an adaptation with a regular classical language, classic story, just adding in zombies as this plague. And then you have the Bennett sisters, who are samurai sword trained fighters that are gonna slay the zombies, okay? It was fun and it was gory and a, you know, really wild ride. Really did enjoy it. I still need to watch the movie, I think, or is it a show? Can't remember. And then next you have the Night Eaters. So you have the Night Eaters, She Eats the Night, which is book 1, and then you have Her Little Reapers, which is book 2. These are a bit heavy, I will say, but fun time with these. The graphics are awesome. I think they could be a little bit brighter, but other than that, amazing. But basically, it's about these Chinese American family where the family has been hiding this secret that the mom and dad are actually demons. And once they clue the adult twins, that's Billy and Millie, right? They're adults at this point, but they clue them in on their heritage, and Billy and Millie are now trying to figure out, what the heck are we? Why have you been lying to me this whole time? Why are other things trying to kill us? Why do we have dead people following us? Do we have any superpowers? All of that stuff. Absolutely funny. Billy is a riot. I had a good time with him. He reminds you of that friend that doesn't take anything serious, so you definitely shouldn't take anything serious with him. But I was basically laughing the entire time that he spoke. There's lots of blood, there's lots of gore, lots of violence. And if you are sensitive to the F-bombs, this is not for you, especially book 2, because it's all over the place. But I loved how it showed like the bond between the family and the kids in the book 1. And I do think that the parents really did them dirty in allowing them to find out the secret. That just would not be cool. But this is currently a 2-book series. The next book comes out, I'm not sure when, maybe next year, not sure, but I'm going to be looking forward to it. And the last book I read is this huge, look at that, bigger than my head. This big picture book here called The Middle Passage by Tom Fillings, okay? If you don't know, the Middle Passage is the pathway for the slave trade from Africa to the Americas, to, you know, drop off enslaved Africans. And this is a graphic representation. Many of the images are abstract of, you know, the hardships that were endured aboard these slave ships. I will say with the graphics, I flipped through them very quickly. Just a lot going on. What I really did do is center more on, at the beginning, the author and the illustrator have, you know, their words or whatever, you know, that comprises a pretty good amount of the book in the beginning. But anyway, I read that history part that they talked about in there, and it was very interesting. One thing I will say is that the song Amazing Grace was actually written by a former slave ship captain. So I don't think I will have that same relationship with that song that I had before, you know. But anyway, that is a great book to check out for anyone, okay? American history is real, and it should not be taken out of schools. And another book that I'm currently still reading is the memoir Who's That Girl by Eve. So by the time this video comes out, I would have done a dedicated video, so make sure you check that out. I will link that below, okay? And that is all the books for the month of October. It's been a busy month, I will tell you that. So let me know what you've read, what your favorite book was, and if you've read any of these books that I have read and what you thought of them, okay? Like, subscribe, and definitely leave me some comments, and I'll see y'all later. Bye-bye. Happy Halloween.